also letting people in, which is scary, right? And we don't talk about it in terms of friendships. We only talk about it in terms of romantic relationships. So when I was with people that almost felt like they were taking like my precious energy. If I have 100 people to invite to my 21st, I've made it. How many friendships I had just out of convenience. We both had a bunch of like fucking fake friends, you know, evaluate the type of person you become around those friends. Hi everyone, welcome back to the What to Do When podcast. And we're here again challenging ourselves to do quick powwow episodes, and we'll see how we go, right? But how are you? I hope that you're well and that you're taking a breath on this bright and early Monday morning. Hopefully that's when you're listening. And I, again, always want to thank you for being here, but we're powwowing again. So let's dive in. Today's episode is, she's a toughie. She's a hard one, but something I think we all yearn for. And that is what to do when you want to develop deeper, real friendships. We don't realize how important friendships are in our life. I certainly didn't, probably up until about maybe 2 years ago. I did not realize that my friendships, especially being a single gal, but even if I wasn't, I didn't realize how much my friendships impacted my overall mental health, my well-being, and my general levels of fulfillment with life. I think we're sort of taught to focus on all the other areas, like romantic relationships, about your career, your job, your business, and about your health and your body and all this stuff, your finances. But we don't really spend a lot of time doing good work on actually how do you develop deep, fulfilling friendships and relationships? Because Kelsey and I, something that we bonded over very quickly was the fact that we both had a bunch of like fucking fake friends, you know? And like, I'm not saying that from a place of me being angry at them. I'm saying that from a place of like, the friendships were so surface level, which was absolutely okay. That's all each of us had capacity for at the time. However, there came such a point in my life where I didn't want those friendships anymore. And I was just wanted the depth. I just wanted not even depth, but I wanted to just be fucking real with the people that I was spending this time with, you know, like I wanted that realness. And it was so interesting and something that I've learned over the years, which is a hard lesson, I think, to learn, especially if you're like in your early 20s, you know, more friends does not equal good friends, right, Cal? Oh my gosh, yeah, I learned this one hard out. I remember being 21 and being like, I've made it. If I have 100 people to invite to my 21st, I've made it. And I didn't even care who was coming. I was just inviting people willy-nilly. And like, I fully thought that meant that I had made it and that I had good friendships, like the number of them. Like I really had this obsession with having a lot of friends and having multiple friend groups and like going to parties every night and having multiple social plans. Take me now to being fucking 28 years old. I probably have like 3 good friends and like very minimal social plans. And something that's been really hard to address has been the loneliness in that process. But I would not trade it for the world because I have such deep, fulfilling, loving relationships with these people. Kels, I really want to ask this of you as well. Like, you are similar to me in a lens that we're both now 20, no, you're 29 actually. We're both now at this age where we're approaching 30, and our social circle's a lot smaller. What's that been like for you? It's actually been really nice because it's taken a lot of the pressure off. I guess one of the things that I started noticing when I started evaluating my friendships was how many friendships I had just out of convenience. Because we were in the same social circles, we went to the same school, we worked at the same place. And the number of friendships I had that were only really cemented because our paths crossed, not because there was anything actually. A lot easier to then pull myself away because I noticed, well, there's nothing really kind of binding us together anyway. And a lot of what I did to kind of start those evaluations was look at all my friendships as an energy exchange of what am I getting from this person and what am I giving to this person. Part of that was noticing how my energy responded after hanging out with people and the number of times I ended up coming away feeling more drained, feeling like I'd just given so much of my energy away. And I was so tired after hanging out with people that when I started hermiting and like really kind of isolating myself, my time and my energy became very, very important to me because I didn't have a lot to give out anyway. So when I was with people that almost felt like they were taking like my precious energy from me, it was like, well, this isn't worth it anymore because I can see I'm not getting anything from this. I can see I'm not like gaining anything, but just giving my time and my energy away that I would otherwise. So doing an evaluation like that made it really easy to start kind of like severing those attachments because I then gave myself like physical evidence. It was like I did stock take of my life, and it was easier to make that decision because I could say, oh, well, look at this evidence I've gathered. I can see that I'm not getting these things from these friends. So who do I want to give my time to? Like, who makes me feel good? Like, where do I actually want to put my energy? And I would make lists of these are the people I actually want to like spend time with. And you were at the top of the list. Like, these are the friendships. Yeah. These are the friendships I want to nurture. Cause as with all things, like you have a limited time, and imagine the difference of having like 3 really core friends and splitting your time between those people, how much those relationships could really deepen and grow, as opposed to if you had 100 friends giving the same amount of energy to 100 people. All of those relationships are going to be really surface level because you can only give them so much. And that's where it comes into like deepening and having those relationships, like really choosing, being very about where you spend your time. Because let's be realistic, we spend most of the time working. We have a few like hours at the end of the day or at the beginning or on the weekends. So your time is really valuable. Like
like how and where do you meet these people?
Right.
Like I remember thinking, like obviously I moved to Australia recently in the last year, and I actually went on Bumble BFF, and that's how I met one of my really good friends here. The other friend that I met was my nail tech, but like it was really challenging, I think, because you're so right, that point of convenience and that point where our paths just magically happened to cross. And, sometimes your paths are meant to cross for a short amount of time and you're meant to be in each other's lives. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily a failed relationship. It's exactly what you needed at the time. But for so many people that I speak with, and I really felt this too, I was craving intimacy in my friendships, and I was craving actual support. And like you, I feel like I was someone who was such a giver. I was such a fucking people pleaser. Like literally just wanted to invite 100 people to my 21st. Like I just did whatever I could to please them, whatever I could do to make them feel good so that they would like me. And it came from that place of I didn't feel good enough within myself. So I thought, if a bunch of other people like me, if I have enough friends to have 100 people at my 21st birthday party, then I'll feel good enough. And it doesn't matter what I think of myself. And that's probably the worst advice I've ever given myself. Let's be honest. It was the worst advice because it left me feeling, when the shit hit the fan, I think this is really a way that your friendships are tested, right? When shit hits the fan in your life, you really see who the real MVPs are, right? Like you see who sticks around and who really cares about you and isn't, I guess, a taker in that sense, but it's genuine care for you. Kelsey, I want to ask, how do we deepen friendships with people? So I feel like we're sort of setting some steps. So like step 1 is to evaluate the energy of each, like someone that you spend time with, and that's just a general good habit to get into. And I do it in my dating as well. I actually had a date the other day and I literally walked away feeling fucking exhausted, like drained, like falling asleep and thinking about, do I need to stop on the car ride home to have a nap? And it was such an inkling. I was like, oh my God, like this is not a good thing to pursue. I do not feel good. And getting in touch with that has been so valuable, especially with developing friendships and even trying to make new friends. I feel like that's such a tool. But what's step 2? How do we deepen relationships and friendships with people?
Yes, this is good. I just want to put one more tidbit on point 1 because it came to me and I was like, it's fire. While you're doing that evaluating thing, also evaluate the type of person you become around those friends. So like what version of you do these friends bring out? Is it your party version? Is it like your spiritual version? Like whoever, are they bringing out the part of you that you actually want to be? Because it is really easy to stay in the same friendships with the same toxic behaviors because you've been friends for so long. But if those friends are actually pulling you farther away from the person you want to be, then you got to put some distance there. You got to put some separation. So now back to step 2, how to deepen these friendships. This kind of goes with the episode we just did. For one, you need to be confident in yourself. You need to know yourself, who you are, who you want to be, and then be that authentic version with those people and see if they stick around. It's like almost like a test. Like, this is me in my element. This is the goofy side. This is the spiritual side. This is the party side. Like, do you love and accept all these parts of me? And also doing the same for those friends. Like, if there are people you really want to have in your life, then you also need to love and accept all of those parts of them as well. What would you say? What would your advice be?
Yeah, like vulnerability for sure. You know, showing up for people. I am someone whose automatic go-to is to hermit, is to be highly independent. You know, it is to do life on my own. And for a long time, I really struggled to, like, I remember seeing all these people in my life and they had these like ride or die people. Like, they had these really like amazing friendships where they felt like family, you know? And I remember feeling so effing jealous of these people and being like, like, how do they have this with people? Like, they genuinely could call them at any time of the day or night and they would be there, you know? And I feel the most blessed and the most loved to say that I went through one of the hardest patches of my life over the last sort of 12 to 24 months. And I had so much love and so much support, and it blew me away. I was like, and it was this sort of process of not taking it personally when people didn't want to invest time with me. It very much is similar to dating, you know, like, you have to have somebody who is emotionally ready and available for a friendship. Like, we all have different shit going on in our lives, you know, true. And you have to have and be in a relationship with someone who has the time, but has also chosen that this is something they really want to do. They're not doing it because they feel like they have to. They're doing it because they want a deep friendship. They want a beautiful connection, and they're curious about you, and they want to be there for you. But in turn, you also have to want to be there for them. You also have to show up for them. And if you're anything like me, who's a bit more of a hermit and who finds it easier to not do that, I had to have some like really serious talks with myself about showing up for people, even though it would be so much easier, you know, if I was a little bit tired to, you know, come home and watch The Office. But it was so important for me to actually be like, no, drive to their house, go and be with them and support them through whatever they're going through. I think the other point I would make is we sort of have this idea that things need to be even all the time in terms of friendships and the energy exchange. But we don't need to have it be super even all the time. Like, there's times when Kelsey supports me way more than when I support her. And then there's times where we reverse. And I think sometimes we quantify that in too much of a sense. And there is so much to speak to about vulnerability, like being vulnerable with the people that you love and letting them see these parts of you that maybe you feel a bit ashamed of, that maybe you feel a bit insecure over. Over the years, Kelsey and I have gotten to this place where we literally just did this friendship exercise which we're trying to do more often, which is basically saying what we're seeing within the other person from a place of distance with so much love, of course. It's sort of lovingly calling one another out and giving just perspectives that they might not see, because we never see our own shit. You know, it's really hard to see that. And to get to a place in friendships where I can feel so secure to be able to share those deepest, darkest parts of myself and have someone see them has been amazing. But it's been this journey of not only me getting more comfortable with these vulnerable parts of myself and doing that inner work, but also letting people in, which is scary, right? And we don't talk about it in terms of friendships. We only talk about it in terms of romantic relationships. But it is just as fucking scary to have a friend see the deepest, darkest parts of you as it is to have a romantic partner.
Yeah. I think we, just a side note, I think we're actually going to make the cutoff for our episode today because I have 5% left on my phone. So we're going to,
I love
So
it.
my closing statement is all you can do is just be you and just, yeah, be authentically you and see the people that show up and want to be there for that version of you. And just what Kathleen said as well, like letting people know when you're not okay, leaning on them when you need support. And it will, like, the people who want to be in your life will stick around and they will help you through that. And it'll mean it's so much easier to choose who you want to have in your life because you can see that they've given you like this thing, the thing that you deserve in its essence, which is just love and support and unconditional acceptance.
That's so true. And you deserve that. You deserve to have that in your friendships. I thought for a long time that that only was meant to come from family and romantic relationships. But hell no. Like, you should have standards in your friendships just as much as you have in your dating life, you know? And you truly, truly deserve that. So go out there, practice reading your own energy when you spend time with people, getting more vulnerable. We love you. We'll see you soon. Thanks so much for listening. I feel like I was going, namaste. Yeah.